You're scrolling, drifting through the endless static of the algorithm, waiting for the signal to cut through the noise. Consider, if you will, that you just found the frequency. You've just stepped off the timeline of the everyday, into the space where the forgotten history and the hidden truths finally touch down. There's the story you know, and then there's the airspace we're about to enter. Check your coordinates, because you're heading towards the landing point. Today's story: The Boy with the Name. He was a big kid, clumsy and awkward, with a gait that looked more like a rolling ship than a walk. Born in Winterset, Iowa, he eventually found himself in Glendale, California, delivering newspapers and body surfing to pass the time. But he had a problem. He didn't have a name, at least not a name that sounded like a man's name. His parents had saddled him with the name Marion. To the local firemen at the station he passed every day, Marion just didn't fit. He was always accompanied by his shadow, a huge Airedale Terrier that followed him everywhere. The firemen didn't care much for the boy's name, but they loved the dog. The dog's name, Duke. Pretty soon, they started calling the dog Big Duke and the boy Little Duke. The boy hated his given name so much, he latched onto the nickname like it was a lifeline. From that day on, he was just Duke. He wasn't dreaming of the silver screen. He wanted to be a lawyer. He was a bright student, a champion debater, and a star football player. He eventually earned a scholarship to USC. He was going to tackle his way to a law degree, but the Pacific Ocean had other plans. During his junior year, a body surfing accident resulted in a severely torn shoulder. His football career was over. His scholarship was gone. With no money for tuition, he had to find a job, and he had to find it fast. A coach at USC did him a favor and moved some blocks around, finding the kid a job as a prop mover and an extra for Fox Film Corporation. He spent his days lugging heavy furniture and sweeping floors for $2 a day. One afternoon, a director named Raoul Walsh saw this massive 6'4" boy moving heavy chests, and Walsh didn't see a furniture mover, he saw a star. He offered him the lead in an epic western called The Big Trail, but there was one final hurdle. The studio heads looked at the credits. They couldn't have a rugged pioneer hero named Marion, and Duke sounded more like a prize fighter. They sat in an office, they pored over history books, and they wanted something that sounded American. Something that sounded like the soil. They settled on the surname of a Revolutionary War general, Mad Anthony Wayne. Then they tacked on the solid, no-nonsense first name. The movie was a box office dud. The young man spent the next 8 years languishing in B-westerns, making nearly 80 films that almost no one saw. He was the forgotten face in the dusty hat. That is, until 1939, when a friend named John Ford gave him a seat on a stagecoach headed for a place called Monument Valley. When he stepped out of the stagecoach and twirled that Winchester carbine, the world didn't see Marion Morrison. They didn't see the failed football player with the bad shoulder. They saw a man who would become the very soul of the American West. You know him as the Duke, but the name that the contract stated was John Wayne. And whether you realize it or not, this is The Landing Point. Thank you for watching today, The Landing Point. Our stories come out Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, so you can always catch our latest story. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Roadrunner Real Estate. They're a full-service real estate company that can help you with both your real estate, residential and commercial needs, both buying and selling and leasing for the commercial side. If you haven't done so already, please go out to our YouTube page and subscribe so you can get our latest stories that come out. If you want our latest updates, please go to our Facebook page and follow and like that. And then for those of you that enjoy just listening to stories when you're out on the drive, we do have our podcast too that you can hear the same stories. Thank you for listening to today's story, and we'll catch you next time.